Okay. Give everyone a minute just to catch up, give everyone a chance to log on. Good morning, good afternoon. Wonderful. Well, it's 3 o'clock on a Monday, which means it's Storytime with Grandma Emma time. Thank you all for joining us on this wonderful Monday afternoon. This is the third installment of our Storytime with Grandma Coyote, Emma Ortega. Today we're here on the west side, coming from you right from this big beautiful mural right here in the heart of the west side off Guadalupe Street. Once again, I'm so lucky that I get to spend a wonderful afternoon with my Grandma Coyote here today. Thank you so much for making time, for making this program available to San Antonio and to Texas and to everyone, because we really need more stories every day of our lives, right? So thank you so much for making yourself available for us and for sharing your wonderful stories and your lifetime of knowledge. I get such great feedback from people who just appreciate all the work that we do, and would love to see your face on camera. So it really warms my heart to see you here today. It really makes me happy that we can spend this time together every week together. And obviously just saying stories, it's so much fun. We thought that this program was going to reach mostly children, but it's been mostly adults that have been enjoying it. So we know that we can happen it. We're going to give people a few more minutes to log on and join with us on Instagram Live. It'll get a little bit of traffic away from us.
Everybody woke up.
Everyone woke up at the same time, right? Got so
woke up. Ooh, we set things on fire.
We sure did. We woke up the neighborhood.
Everything had been real quiet, and all of a sudden, everything started. That is good. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Spring is sprung and working up. Go ahead and remove this. Just unplug it. Cool. Technology only wants to help when it wants to help. So. Okay. Well, a few more minutes to log on, and then we're going to start. Okay. Alrighty. So, here we are, another beautiful day. How are you today, Grandma?
I'm great.
Yeah.
Every day I'm great. I mean, so many blessings. And the fact that I woke up one more day. How can I say anything bad about it?
Of course.
To me, every day is something new, and I look forward to seeing what am I going to learn today, because the lessons are there. My mother used to say, "No hay ciego que no quiera ver," and it's true. If you pretend to be blind and not see things, then you don't see anything. But that's a choice, because there's a lot of things to see. It's just a bird singing. We've been hearing birds all the time we've been here, different birds. And I sometimes wonder, what are they saying to each other? Actually, we don't need therapists. We just need to sit outside and listen to the birds and different singings, and then they argue and they settle their differences, and that's it. They get over it. So, to me, Mother Earth provides everything for us, even the therapy, the breeze right now.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Everything,
so
everything is connected, so we should learn to enjoy, not always be saying, I wish it was this, I wish it was that, why is it so hot, why is it so cold? Well, if we didn't have cold, how could we appreciate heat? If we didn't have rain, how could we appreciate the drought, or vice versa? So everything is black and white, one or the other. So we should learn to just live and enjoy the moment. And we want to complain, we can and we will, because that's who we are.
That's who we are. It's okay to complain a little bit.
I'm one of those that's always complaining too. So, ready for stories?
I totally am. Super excited for today's stories.
Today we're doing something a little bit different. The other stories were Native American stories. Today took a little turn on this, and because corn is starting to grow again and being plentiful, and and the chiles and all this. So I thought, well, let's go to that other part of the country that we're connected to. And it's just a little river down here that they call Rio Grande or Rio Colorado or whatever. It's just on the other side. But that does not divide us. It's just a thing that water runs through. It doesn't divide us because we're indigenous wherever we are. We're here. This was our land. This was indigenous people land. This was Native American land. This was our land before it was anybody else's. A lot of people have claimed that it's theirs, but we know better. And sometimes we argue about it, sometimes we don't. And I quote my mother a lot because I grew up with the quotations and the stories from my mother. And if I was going to argue about something, she said, no alegues. Pero mamá, mire que dijo esto. Emma, deja que haya un loco y no dos. And so finally it dawned on me, she's talking about that I would be the other loco, not also the one arguing. So I thought, okay, I love Mexico. I love all of Mexico. I love New Mexico. I love San Antonio. So I love huipiles. I've been wearing huipiles ever since I can remember. My first little performance that I did at the girls club when I was about 4 years old, I did jarabe tapatio. My godmother brought me my skirt and my blouse from Mexico because she traveled a lot in Mexico. I had ribbons in my hair and big ribbons because I had always had long hair. So I can't say that I am this and I am this and I am this. I am all of that. My makeup is of many, and who knows what other bloods I carry. But I carry them all with pride, whatever they are. Because my mother taught me to be proud of myself, not to hide myself, not to be ashamed of myself. And so that's why I like to tell stories of other people's. And this is one of those. And especially we get back to the chiles and to the corn, the maize. It is said a long time ago, there was a legend. People, the Aztec people, they ate berries and they ate game. But they had also heard that there was another food hidden behind some huge mountains, but they were unable to get to them. 4 other gods had tried to break the mountains apart so that they could go through and get this food for the Aztec people. But they had failed, they had not been able to do so. And so the people asked one of the priests, and the priest, not the Catholic priest, the Aztec priest, and asked him if they could go talk to Quetzalcoatl. He was one of the last god, not the last god, but one of the gods. And so he went and talked to them and said, can you get this wonderful, precious food that we hear all about it? Can you bring it to the people? And he says, yes. It'll be a long journey, it'll be a hard journey, but I can bring it to the people. He says, but all the other gods tried to get through the mountains by force. But I will do something different. I will use intelligence. And so he transformed himself into a black ant. And a red ant was there, and he asked the red ant, I'm going on a journey. Will you go with me? And the red ant said, yes. So for many, many days they traveled and traveled. They had so many problems, but they worked right through them. Because to him, it was important to bring back this precious, delicious food to the people. And so they went all the way around, traveling for many, many days, and came behind the mountain. And because he is an ant, he bit into one of the little kernels of this maize, of this corn. And then he traveled back. Again, it took many, many days for them to get back. But he was so happy that he had been able to bring the corn to the people. And so now they planted it. There's songs to go with the planting. There's songs and prayers to go with the harvesting, with the watering of the plant so it'll grow. So can you imagine us not having corn? No tortillas, no tamales, no atole, no gorditas de manteca, no champurrado. Oh my God, no, we can't do without champurrado. So the next time, and potato chips, corn chips, because how could we eat guacamole and salsa without corn chips? So we need to give a lot of things to Quetzalcoatl for being so smart and turning himself, so intelligent, and turning himself into an ant. And so next time you see the ants, don't be so, well, the big red ants or the big black ants, kind of avoid them and try not to kill them too much, because they do serve a purpose. And look at what they did by bringing the corn to us. Thank you.
What a beautiful story. So it's like I heard you say sometimes you have to use your brain because muscles won't do it. And so it's like really that blessed of like, oh, you can't push your way through every obstacle. You have to. Sometimes the best muscle you have is your brain.
It is. It is.
You gotta work your way through it.
Yeah.
Think of things in a new way. And how all the other gods had tried to like use their force to break through the mountain.
They was trying to break the mountain, force it open, and the mountains would not give way. But here he turned himself into this little ant. And have you ever noticed, maybe we should, notice ants, how they travel back and forth, carrying. They carry leaves, they carry all these little things. And I'm going like, the ant may be like this and the leaf may be like this. Mm-hmm. And yet they're carrying it. It's amazing. It's amazing the
how strong they are.
Yes. So that was how corn began today. There's another story. It's a Native American story, and it's a story, a regional story also, if you want to make it one. There is a man, his name is Don Carlos, and he has a little farm, and he's growing beautiful, beautiful corn, beautiful chiles, a whole bunch of garden flowers. He has a wonderful garden, but then he noticed one day that something has been coming around and eating the chiles, the best ones, the plumpest ones, the prettiest ones, the reddest ones. Those are the ones that are always getting chewed up. So he decides that he is going to catch whoever is doing it. He has no idea who it is. So he goes ahead and makes a scarecrow. But he makes a scarecrow out of wax. And late that night, there is a scarecrow, and here comes Coyote. Coyote's one of our tricksters. He usually gets everybody to do his work. He doesn't like to do, he's too lazy to work. But this time, he couldn't because he wanted to eat the chiles. And he comes around and he looks around and looks around, and he's gonna eat the chiles, but then he notices there's a man right there. Oh, I am in trouble, says Coyote. So he goes over and talks to the man. He says, Buenas tardes. Man doesn't answer. Hola, amigo, buenas tardes. The man doesn't answer. And he keeps talking and talking to this man, and the man doesn't answer. Now he's getting very, very upset because here he's being so polite, telling him what a beautiful garden he has. And look at the green chiles, and now they're red, and some are yellow, and some are orange, and everything looks so beautiful. but the man doesn't answer. So he just gets frustrated and whacks the man. Can't get his hand out. He's stuck in there. Remember, the scarecrow is made of wax. So here he is trying to pull back and he can't get his hand out. So he gets a fist with the other hand and whacks it into the man. Now both hands are stuck in there and he can't get them out. So what is he gonna do? He can't pull out. He tries and tries to pull out and he can't. So he says, well, I'll kick my way out of here.
Oh,
so he kicks into the scarecrow. His foot gets caught. That is not good. So he gets really upset because what is happening? What is that? Why is that man holding on to him? He doesn't want the man to hold him. Let go of me. He says, I don't want to be holding him. I don't want you to be holding me. Let me go. Let me go. And the man doesn't say anything to him. So he gets his other foot and puts it right in there. And now all four paws are caught. And there he is, stuck. He can't get out. In the morning, Don Carlos comes to check and see if anybody got caught on his trap. And sure enough, there's Coyote with his hands and his back hind legs stuck in the wax scarecrow. He said, maldito coyote, eres tú que estás comiéndose los chiles. You're the one eating my fine chiles. So he gets a sack, puts Coyote in the sack, takes it home, hangs it on a nail, Coyote inside the sack. He goes and gets a big kettle, starts a fire, puts the kettle on the fire, fills it with water, and he's gonna wait till the water to get hot, but he's gonna go get some more vegetables, some carrots and onions and corn, everything to put in there, and then he's gonna put Coyote in there too. Well, there hangs Coyote while Don Carlos is over there doing his thing, and he's just hanging there with a sack. And then along comes a rabbit. And Coyote looks at him, and the rabbit looks up at him, and he looks at him, my friend. He said, I am so happy that you are here. And the rabbit says, why? He says, well, I have great news for you. You see, Don Carlos, the man here, wants me to marry his daughter. He says, and I don't want to get married. I'm not ready to get married. He says, but I was wondering, look at the pot that he has over there. He's getting ready to do some cooking. His food is gonna be wonderful. She is so beautiful too. Oh, it's gonna be a great wedding. People are gonna come and bring more food and bring presents. I was thinking, would you take my place? The rabbit thinks about it and he said, are you sure? He said, yeah. He said, you sure you don't want to get married? Said, no. You can get married. I don't want to get married. But you can have all the things that I'm going to get, the good food, the good presents, the beautiful wife. He said, no, you can have all that. He said, okay. He said, what do I need to do? He said, well, you have to get me down. So poor little rabbit struggles and struggles, gets him down, and he gets out. He said, now what? He said, well, you have to get in the sack. And rabbit says, okay. So he gets in the sack. Coyote hangs up the sack. And then here, he takes off. And here is poor rabbit hanging there. So Don Carlos comes by and he says, what happened to Coyote? He says, well, he said he didn't want to marry your daughter. So he left. And he told me if I wanted to marry your daughter, and I told him, yeah, I'll marry your daughter. And it said that he was going to you were making real good soup, real good food to eat. And I don't mind eating good food. Coyote sinvergüenza, he fooled you too. He said, but now, well, I'm not going to have coyote stew. I'm going to have rabbit stew. So be careful. There's a lot of people fooling people out there, running around. There's a lot of coyotes out there. Be careful. Thank you.
Oh, that was a good story. Sometimes if things seem too good to be true, they usually are. Right?
Yeah.
And you can't always trust. You can't always trust that everyone's being honest with you and telling you the whole story.
And nowadays it's getting a little bit harder, I think.
Yeah, hard to tell who's telling the truth, who's not a coyote.
And see, and that's what, to me, that's the beauty of the stories. The stories are lessons. All stories are lessons. They teach you how to behave. They teach you what to do, what not to do. And so this is how we teach the children. Because nobody wants to be told, you can't do that, don't do it. And he said, why? Because I said so. Well, because I said so is not a reason. But if you tell a story to a child, he'll understand the story. And a story will stay with him much longer than because I said so. When I was little, I was just a typical kid. Take my shoes off, leave them here. Change clothes, leave it there, or whatever. And it was my mother and me, so besides her having to wash all day and iron at night and embroidery, crochet, anything to make a living, she would have to pick up after me. So one day she told me, she said, the devil is winning. Está ganando el diablo. She spoke very softly, not loud like me. And said, ¿Por qué, mama? He said, see, you have a little devil right here, and you have an angel right here. And every time you throw your clothes on the floor and I have to remind you to pick it up or put up your shoes, or you took out something, put it up, the devil wins. Because the devil says, she's mine. She's mine, she belongs to me. That's because she's not going to do it. And the angel says, no, she's a good little girl. She's a good little girl. She's going to pick up. Just watch, she's going to pick up. I said, Emma, it's up to you. Who do you want to win? The little devil or the little angel? I'm the one that you see at Walmart that people throw things on the floor, the clothes in, and I go pick it up and hang it. Even at the thrift store, I go around, people are going through the things and shirts are falling down or blouses are falling down or whatever I'm getting, and they just leave it there. I can't. I'm the one that constantly is picking up. It stays in my mind. Our parents were so smart. They may not have had the degrees or may not have had all these titles or anything, but they had common sense. And they were jokers. I think a parent becomes, I think once a mother gets pregnant and has a baby, she becomes a coyote. Because she's always tricking us into doing things, and figuring things out. I think women are automatically coyotes once you become a mother, because they always find ways of getting us to do, but not to be mean. It's just teaching us a lesson of what we should do and what we shouldn't do.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it. Moms have to learn a lot of tricks to keep so many people in line.
I thought I was real smart. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about me. When I was 15, 16, I met this boy. 15 because I had to go to quinceañera. And the house where we lived, there was a big house in front, there was a smaller house that we lived in, and then there was another house way in the back. And one day I'm hanging down from my legs, hanging straight down, looking at the sky up, on a tree on a moras, because I had been eating moras, and then I just slid back and I'm hanging there. And I see this red convertible go by the driveway, because the house had two driveways, one on each side, and it drove all the way back to the house in the back. And there was the cutest boy driving, and there was his mother. The boy's sister lived in the back. So they went to visit. Boy, real quick did I get up from that tree. And I didn't want him to think I was a tomboy. I was. So I come inside and I told my mother, I said, somebody went to the back and in this red car. red convertible. And she looked and said, ah, sí, es Carlos, es el hijo de, es el hermano de Conchita. Okay. I'd never seen Carlos before. Where had I been that I hadn't seen Carlos before? Probably at school, that's where I was. And so, okay, I let that go by. Later on, found out, because I went to visit Conchita another time, and he happened to come by without the mother. And he introduced himself, and I introduced myself, and yeah, oh, your mother is Doña Lupe. He said, yeah, so he was cute. And so I said, I noticed you the other day. He said, yeah, and I noticed you hanging from the tree. And so we started talking. And we secretly became boyfriend and girlfriend. Has nothing to do with corn and chiles, I'm sorry.
It's the story that wants to be told.
And we became boyfriend and girlfriend secretly because I was too young. My daddy was not gonna approve about that, and I didn't know how his mother was gonna feel about it. His father had passed away when he was real young, so it was his sisters, a whole bunch of sisters. Well, he was a baby of 14 actually, and so I didn't know how they were gonna take that, but we liked each other. And I was going to Poe at that time. So he would meet me in the corner, take me to school, and hurry up and get back to work because he was already working. But then he'd pick me up in the afternoon and bring me home, and that was it. But had to leave me at the corner so my daddy wouldn't see it. And one day we're walking downtown on Commerce Street, and he's holding my hand, and who's coming across? My aunt. So I knew she was going to go tell my mother about it. Hopefully my daddy wouldn't be home, so he wouldn't hear about it. And so when I walk in the house, my aunt tells me, ¿andabas perdida o qué? No, ¿por qué? Pues te tenían que llevar de la mano a donde ibas. And mother just looked at me and said, Emma, ten cuidado, ten cuidado. So okay, so then my girlfriend was having a quinceañera, a 15-year-old, so I was invited to be part of it, but I needed an escort. Mm-hmm. So I asked my mother if I could ask Carlos to be my escort. And she said, pues tiene que venir a pedir permiso para entrar a la casa. Mm-hmm. So I asked Carlos, I said, will you be my escort? He said, yeah. I said, well, there's a problem. You have to come home and ask permission to take me out, even though
you're asking him out for your event.
So, and he said, it's okay, I don't have a problem. So I told mother about it. So we lived, it was a big room, not that big of a room. And it had a little divider and with a little kitchen with a big fireplace. And then my big bed for my mama and me and the cot for my daddy. And the dresser, and that was it. I mean, it was a very small little house. So mama made new curtains we had 3 windows for the windows and fixed up everything as pretty as she could for me, and Carlos came to ask permission. Daddy was there, waiting for him. Never forget it, he introduced himself and said, sí, te conozco, eres el hermano de Conchita. Y sí, señor. Y dice, bueno, ¿qué es lo que quiere? Dice, pues Emma me invitó a ser chambelán en quinceañera de Yolanda. Very solemn face on my dad. That Indian face told, you didn't know what he was thinking at all. So he says, in Spanish, he said, I'm going to give you permission to take her because she asked you. Mm-hmm. But after that, don't you ever come to this house again. Oh. He got up and walked out the door, and I'm going, Mama. And Mama goes, Jesus. Jesus was gone. He's sad to say. So we went on ahead and went to the quinceañera, and it was wonderful. And we continued seeing each other. And because they were so strict with me, mm-hmm. we decided we were going to elope. Oh. He was gonna meet me across the street, and we were gonna elope and all that. And it comes back to mothers being so smart. Mother never said anything. She stayed quiet all this time. And she figured it was that night that I was going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes and tells me, she says, Emma, of course in Spanish, I want you to know that whatever decision you make, I will back you up. But be very careful with the decisions that you make. Be very, very careful. And if you want my blessings, I will give it to you. Ooh, I felt like that. And
moms can do that.
Carlos stayed there all night long. I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave. Because just for saying that she believed in me and the trust that she had in me, and that she would back me up no matter what, I couldn't leave. So Sunday, this was Saturday night. When the Sunday, I go to church, come back home. Monday, I'm going to school, and he's there. He said, what happened? And I told him what had happened, that I couldn't leave. Well, then I finished there, went into tech. He went into the Navy. We stayed in contact. We wrote to each other for a long time. And then we broke up. The last year that he was in the Navy, he was stationed in Beeville. So he called, and he had been looking for me at the flower shops because they told him that I worked at a flower shop. So he had gone to the different shops to look for me. And we ended up connected. Oh, I was going through town, and I heard him play in one of the stores on Houston Street. They were playing Only You. Only You Until Then were our songs. And they were playing them. So I said, I don't care what happens, I'm gonna call. If his mother picks up, I'm gonna hang up, that's it. No, he answered. And we talked, and the next day he went and picked me up at work. And my daddy came home and he says, who brought you home? And I said, Carlos. He's back. Oh, he said, he's back? I said, yes, he's back. But Daddy, I'm gonna see him. I love him. I've been in love with him all this time. I've never loved anybody else. So he said, okay. That was it.
That's like dads, right? They just come in at the last minute. They're like either okay or they're really extreme. That's
Yeah.
one of they're either really calm or really extreme.
Yeah, he was just, okay, está bien. And he walked out the door again. And so we saw each other from then on. As a matter of fact, the driver at the flower shop where I was working quit, and we hired Carlos to be our driver. And Mother would call and say, hice pan de maíz. Oh, here comes the corn. Hice pan de maíz. So, ¿puede venir Carlitos a levantar el pan? So she would make for them real big, fluffy cornbread. I liked it real thin, real crispy with butter. So she would make corn de maíz for me and corn de maíz for Carlos and the girls at the flower shop. And my mother got sick. The day we were supposed to go pick the material, he came and asked for my hand. His family wouldn't. He came and asked for my hand, my daddy and my mama, and they said yes, so we became engaged. And that day that we were going to go get the material for my wedding dress, because my mother was going to make it, she became very ill. This was on a Thursday. Monday morning, she has passed away. So I postponed the wedding, and I postponed the wedding. And Monsignor said, I'm not postponing it again. Are you going to either get married or you don't? And we can wait until later on. I said, no. He said, your mother loved him, your father loves him. So we went ahead and we got married. It was very sad for not having mother. It was very sad for Daddy and me. But he turned out to be the best son-in-law and the best husband that anybody could ever want. We were married 17 years. We have one son, Carlos Ramon. And he was 8. Mijo was 8 when his daddy died. We were married 17 years. And he crossed over. He passed away. And I remarried for all the wrong reasons. Lonely, I think. But I still love him. I still love him. He was that one. If he put up with my daddy, but I remember daddy saying, "¿Cuáles son tus intenciones?" I've never forgotten that word.
Famous dad lines.
The famous dad line.
What are your intentions?
Yeah, I'm working and she can graduate and she wants to work or she wants to stay home. They gave him the whole thing, and then after all that, says, pues te doy permiso de que la lleves al baile, pero nunca vuelvas a pisar mi casa. And he turned out to be such a beautiful husband, such a beautiful man. And he was there when my mother passed away, and he was there when my daddy passed away. So why that story had to come in, I don't. Oh, we were talking about the intelligence of the mothers, how mothers become coyotes right away, and that was to me that part. There's so much common sense. How they can reach you, they know us so well.
Can't hide anything from moms.
No. And when they say we have eyes in the back of our head, I think they do. I think they really do. So,
that was a great story.
Oh, the first time I told a story about, I told this story. And my grandson, I had him this past weekend, and he asked me, "Did you tell my favorite story?" And I asked him, and he said, I said, "Which one?" And so he sang the song to me. And he said, I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "Did you tell the kids to learn the song?" I said, "No, I didn't." He said, "No, you need to tell them to learn the song." He's 12 years old now. So I'm going to tell you that story. It is said a long time ago, in the Pueblo, everybody plants gardens. Mamas, daddies, grandmas, grandpa, all the kids. And there was this one little girl that had the best garden. Oh, the corn was so tall. The beans, the squash, everything, the flowers that grew in her garden, everything was beautiful. And one morning as she's going to her garden, she hears, "Hi, lie, 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 hi, lie, 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 corn, beans, melons, and squash, good to eat, good to eat." She stops and I wonder who's singing. She looks around. She doesn't see anyone. So she starts again to walk, but the singing stopped. So she backs up. Sing with me. Hi, lie, 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 hi, lie, 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 corn, beans, melons, and squash, good to eat, good to eat. And she said, "No, I've got to find out where it's going from." So she looks and looks and listens, and over there was a clump of grass. So she pretends not to care, and she goes all the way around and comes behind the clump of grass. There, in that clump of grass, is a big grandfather grasshopper, singing as loud as he can. She looks down at him and says, "Good morning, grandfather grasshopper." He says, "What?" He said, "No, no, it's all right, it's all right. That is a good song that you're singing. Can I borrow your good song?" He says, "No." He says, "Why not?" He said, "Because it's my song, it's my fine song." He said, "But it's a good song to sing in the garden." He says, "I know it is, but look, when I go to your garden and I try to eat a little bit, what do? You throw rocks at me, you throw chunks of dirt at me, you throw sticks at me, you try to kill me. So why should I give you my fine song? But if you promise to let me eat one day in your garden, perhaps I will lend you my fine song." She says, "Okay, you can eat one day." "Are you sure?" "Yes." "You promise?" "I promise." "Nah, can't do it. Can't do it." She says, "Why not?" He said, "Well, it wouldn't be fair if I ate and my brothers and sisters just saw me eat and they went hungry. But if you promise to let me and my brothers and sisters eat one time, then perhaps I will lend you my fine song. See, the song was easy to learn, but it wasn't her song. It was his song. And if she took it, that would be stealing. And we don't do that. We don't take what is not ours. And so he went ahead and gave her the song. So all day long, she's over there in her garden. Hi, lie, 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 hi, lie, lie, lie. Corn, beans, melons, and squash. Good to eat, good to eat. Well, goes home, does what she needs to do, goes to bed, gets up early in the morning, has her breakfast. She's coming to the garden to sing her song, so happy to sing. She starts getting closer to it, and she hears, hi, lie, 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 hi, lie, lie, lie. Corn, beans, melons, and squash. Good to eat, good to eat. Who's that singing in my garden? So she starts running, gets closer to the garden, and she hears, hi, lie, 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 hi, lie, lie, lie. Corn, beans, melons, and squash. Good to eat, good to eat. And it's getting louder and louder. And she's running and running, can hardly catch her breath. And she gets to her garden and she's, hi, lie, 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 hi, lie, lie, lie. Corn, beans, melons, and squash. Good to eat, good to eat. And she looks at her garden, and there is no garden. The corn stalk is all down. All the stalks are down. The beans, the carrots, everything in her garden is just ruined. The melons are all chewed up, everything. And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of grasshoppers. And there is grandfather grasshopper on the top of the biggest pile, singing the loudest of all. And she goes up to him and says, what have you done? He says, what? He says, what have you done to my garden? He said, we didn't do anything to your garden. We just ate. Red ant. He said, we just ate. You said we could, so we did. He said, but you ruined my garden. And who are all these grasshoppers? Oh, he says, these are all my brothers and sisters. Didn't you know that I have hundreds and hundreds of grasshoppers? So we need to be careful next time when we promise something. Not so easy just to say, this is it, because we may end up without a garden. So we need to be careful. I'm going to switch a little bit from what we had thought we were going to do.
Whatever you'd like to do.
Many years ago, I wrote, I used to set up the altares, the ofrendas, at the Institute of Texan Cultures all the time. And I did for about 7, 8, 9 years. That was the first one that was ever set up there. And I did the last one because somebody else wanted to do it, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. Dr. Antonio Madrid, and I also set up the very first ofrenda that Trinity University had ever had.
Oh, wow.
So we were the first ones, and we did it for about 5 years, and then I didn't do it anymore. And while the last altar that I set up was dedicated to the migrant workers. And I thought today was a good day. They were looking for me, they finally found who it was, who Emma Franco was at that time. And he wanted permission to put this particular poem, because I wrote the poem and put it on the altar, to put it to music. And I said, yes, of course. So when they did the singing, it was sang, beautiful cantata. It was sang in Spanish, but in the book, it is also in English. And it means a lot to me because here I am, the simple person, I write a lot of poems. I write a lot of stories. I, I do a lot of artwork. This is one of my new pieces that I'm working on with clay, thanks to you. And so I'm going to take the time and read this to you because this is who we are, because we're talking about harvesting. That's why I'm changing things, because we're talking about the corn and the beans and the squash and the chiles and all this. And it is called Somos Gente de la Tierra. I, my father would go every year to Wisconsin and to work as a migrant worker. My mother and I always stayed here. This was going to be his last year of going, so he wanted Mother and me to go see what the trees, the cherry trees look like and what the things look like. Although he worked in the mines and then he worked in the factory. And so we went. And this is what I remembered of that. It says, somos gente de la tierra. En ella ponemos nuestros sueños, nuestras vidas, nuestras esperanzas. En trocas nos vamos a los trabajos. Platicamos, cantamos y reímos. Recordamos las casas y gente que dejamos. Nos empezamos a conocer. No nos podemos mover. Nuestros hijos juegan sin poder correr. Se acurrucan y duermen en nuestros brazos. Nosotros sentados en cajones y felices por largas horas y días. Pero seguimos con la esperanza de un nuevo amanecer. El camino es largo y cansado. El trabajo es duro. El sol nos quema y si llueve nos mojamos. Nuestras espaldas se doblan. Nuestros dedos se sangran. Pero el pensamiento de un mejor mañana para nuestros hijos nos da el corazón para seguir. Lloramos en silencio y aguantamos injusticias. Gracias, mamá. Gracias, papá. Should I read it in English or no?
Sure.
For those of you that don't speak Spanish, I'm going to go ahead and read it in English. They did a wonderful job by doing the interpretation. And it's called We Are People of the Earth. We are people of the earth. In her we put our dreams, our lives, our hopes. In trucks we go to work. We chat, we sing, we laugh. We remember our homes and the people left behind. We begin to know each other. We cannot move. Our children play without running. They snuggle and sleep in our arms. Us sitting on boxes and suitcases for long hours and days. But we continue with the hope of a new dawn. The road is long and tired. The work is hard. The sun burns us, and when it rains, we get wet. Our backs bend, our fingers bleed. But the thought of a new tomorrow for our children gives us the courage to press forward. We cry in silence. We endure injustice. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Father. And that last, like I said, that last altar was dedicated to all the migrant workers. And right now, not only with the planting, but with so many people migrating to looking for a better life.
Better tomorrow.
A better tomorrow for their children.
Mm-hmm.
That it seems appropriate.
Totally. When we talk about food, we have to talk about all the people whose lives depend on picking it and serving it and cooking it and bringing it to us. That's a bigger part of the process too.
And right now there's such a shortage of food, and that hurts. That hurts. Here we are, the richest country in the world, one of them, and our people are hungry. So if we are hungry here in the city, think of the hunger of those children that are the migrants that are in the camps. What must it be like for those mothers? The anguish that they cannot give their children, the fathers that cannot provide for their children. It's hard to think that we're going through times like this. We were very blessed. I was very blessed. My mother always had a garden. Always, everywhere we moved. And we didn't move that often unless they sold the house, because she rented and they sold the house. And the first thing she made sure we got in and we
Had a garden.
had a garden. We had a garden. We had calabazas growing on the fins, and it was all over. Remember one time we were going to the neighbors on the other side of the block. They also planted calabazas. They had calabazas all over the place. They were beautiful. And Mother, every afternoon, she would always say her rosary. And we were going to go down to Benavides to take flowers for the other Los Muertos. And my mother was always blessing on the way over there, así que en nombre de Dios, and the whole thing. And she said, que la Virgen de Guadalupe nos ha de cuidar. Mira qué bonitas calabazas. And she never missed a beat. She came right back to the prayer. She started, que la Virgen de Guadalupe nos, mira qué bonitas calabazas.
And right back to the prayer.
Right back to the prayer. She never missed a beat. And to me, that is so beautiful, because I was raised around plants all the time. And I'm sorry to say, I don't plant. I don't have a green thing. Although when I did, I went to plant some corn one time, some seeds of corn in the front, and something kept telling me, not there, over there. And I'm going, I don't want to plant it here, I want to plant it over there. Terca, I wanted to plant it over there. And so there was a swing right near where I was going to plant. And I'm sitting on the swing and I'm looking, and I spot something, little tiny orange thing. And I'm going, what is that? Where they wanted me to plant. And so I went and dug it up. And there are like 10 little beads, so tiny. And what's left of a piece of sinew.
Oh.
So there, where I live, that was also Native people lived in the area. So that's what it wanted me to go over there and dig.
And find.
But it finally had to pull itself up, because yo terca, no, I want to plant it. I want to plant it over here. And in the backyard, we had a drought. It opened up, and a pot came out.
Oh, wow.
So I have an old pot at home, the clay pot. Pretty little pot. So you wonder what else is in my
What else
yard.
is back there waiting to pop back up?
So, how am I doing?
About 5 more minutes in tonight. We'll do one last piece of program.
Yeah, I wrote this song a long time ago. Gosh, easily 30 years ago. And at that time I was singing with the mariachi choir, the Colores from San Patricio. And we sang the 12 o'clock masses at San Jose Mission every Sunday, and did a whole bunch of singings everywhere else. This song, it's registered, but I only sang it a couple of times with a mariachi, because they asked if I would do it with them, and so we said okay. And it was not in church, but it was outside with a group, just to see how it sounded with a mariachi. It sounded pretty nice. And I think I sing this song about every 3-4 years to myself, not out in public.
Not to anyone.
No, not. This is the first time that
Oh, wow.
that I sing it and all this.
That is very special.
And it is a song about gratitude, about no matter what happens in your life, try to make the best of it. But always remember to say thank you to Creator, to Diosito, to whoever you see as being the person that you go to. Might be Kuan Yin, who knows? I mean, it's Buddha, whoever. It's up to you who you want to talk to, who gives you your comfort, that makes you feel good about yourself, and who you should say thank you to. Mother Earth above all. And it's called a Padre Nuestro, but it's not the Lord's Prayer as we say it. If I may, let me take a little bit of water.
Please do.
The
I didn't know
camera-
that this song was so special like that. I didn't know you'd ever performed it before. So I feel really honored that you
I don't know
doing it
why
for
I
today.
never have. For some reason, it's been holding on all these years. So I apologize for the voice. The voice is no longer there, but it is what it is. So. Padre nuestro en el cielo, con cariño te vengo a cantar. Este guapango humilde que de alegría me hace llorar. Cuando el día amanece y el sol empieza a salir, los pajarillos cantan en los trigales de mi vivir. Por la orilla del río nacen flores de color y vuelan mariposas que en sus alitas brilla el sol. Cuando mi día se acaba y a mi jacalito voy, encuentro brazos abiertos como una flor. Padre nuestro en el cielo, con cariño te vengo a cantar. Este guapango humilde que de alegría me hace llorar. Viene la noche cayendo, el cielo empieza a brillar y tú me cubres mi cuerpo con el zarape de tu amar. Te doy las gracias, Dios mío, por todo lo que me das. Y de rodillas te pido que no me olvides nunca jamás. Padre nuestro en el cielo, con cariño te vengo a cantar. Este guapango humilde que de alegría me hace llorar, que de alegría me hace llorar. I hope you drew pictures in your mind, and maybe you can draw them and send them to us.
Yes.
I'd love to see what you come up with.
So with that, we'll go ahead and bid adieu for the day. Thank you all for joining us today with Storytime with Grandma Coyote and Ortega. Of course, as always, we're so blessed to have her. Please join us every Monday from 3 to 4 p.m. on all of AIT-SCM social media platforms so you can view and listen to past story times with us. We continue this program. We look forward to seeing more of you. And just like Grandma said, please feel free to send us in some of your photos, some of your original drawings of things that you've heard from our program. We'd love to see them and show them, see how much you've been enjoyed in your family. So thank you all for joining us. We bid you a good one. And until next week, adios.